Welcome back to another edition of the Blue Review. Happy Dodgers Victory Wednesday, I guess we'll call it. Got the best of Logan Webb. We always love to see that. The Dodgers take down the Giants 5-4. Got a little shaky there with the bullpen game, but they handled business. So we'll get into all of that today. Greg, you got a fun topic you want to get into about?
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. You got a fun topic you want to get into. But of course, before we get into anything, let me just before we even tagline this, Marcus Grant, welcome back. Good to have you here. Greg Bergman, of course, is with me, and I'm Parker Bell. I think I forget to introduce us sometimes, even though our names are down below in our socials as well. But okay. The LAX, they're our partners here with the Blue Review. So before we get into anything, let me just say that the Los Angeles International Airport's changing the travel experience, reducing traffic, saving guest time, and all that great stuff. For more information, find out at flylax.com/transforminglax. All right, guys. So like I mentioned, Dodgers 5, Giants 4 last night. Great game. Greg, what did we think about it?
So I did think it was a great game. I mean, you beat Logan Webb. That's huge. Mookie Betts is absolutely on fire. There's a lot of other things that are going on. Gavin Lux had a double, so he got out of that single slump that he was having. But the biggest thing for me is, and I hate doing this, I think that it should normally never be talked about. But when you know the name of an umpire, that's a problem. If you know a name of a referee, that means it's a problem. I should never know who these people are. It should not matter because they're not affecting the game, right? Phil Cuzzy was absolutely amazing yesterday. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen it.
That's a polite way to put it.
Amazing and amazingly bad. It was just, I gotta thank Aaron Palmer on Twitter for sending this to me, because it is a summary of the missed calls on taken pitches. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different pitches that were balls for Logan Webb called strikes. And I just want to run down a couple of these, Marcus, because I think it's very, very telling.
Okay.
One of them, in the bottom of the second inning, what a ball was called a strike when it was 4.1 inches from the edge of the zone. 4.1 inches. That's not a small amount. This is an inch. This is 4 inches.
I looked up the width of home plate. The width of home plate is 17 inches. So that is 1/4 of the width of home plate.
It's amazing.
That's significant.
Yes, significant. 4.1, 3.4, 2.8, 2.8, 2.7. Like, these aren't small numbers. These are very large amounts off of the plate for Logan Webb, and he still didn't make it through 4 innings. So I think it was kind of amazing. That's what you can see from this Dodgers lineup. But because of things like this, and because we start seeing it, and I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying enough to the Dodgers when the Dodgers were actually pitching. Maybe they were getting these types of zones as well, and I just wasn't paying as much attention. But that's out of control, and these things cannot happen in a baseball game. And this is where we always talk about it. And robot umps need to happen for reasons like this, for reasons like Phil Cuzzy.
It hurts my heart to have to agree with that. It does. It hurts my heart, because I have long been, in all sports, a human element sort of person, right? Because the game is played by humans, it is enjoyed by humans, it should be officiated and refereed by humans. But we're at a point now where there's so much money involved, and now, because all these sports leagues have gotten in bed with gambling companies and sports betting is such a big deal, now it does become a little more crucial to make sure you get it right, that you can't have things like that. Look, I understand gambling has always been around, but now that it is a lot more prominent, you do have to make sure that you get it right. I will say this too, if you want to credit Phil Cuzzy, ? The strike zone was consistent. It was consistently bad, but it was consistent. It was a thing that Joe Davis and Oral Hershiser mentioned last night, that he was wide for everybody. I mean, I think as a player, as frustrating as it can be, you at least understand that. In fact, there was an at bat Will Smith had kind of middle of the game where I think he ended up chasing. He fouled off a couple of pitches, but he had to chase. He was forced to chase because he knew that the strike zone was wide, and he knew that, down 0-2 or whatever it was, 1-2, he couldn't risk taking a pitch that might have been an inch or two off the plate, because there's a good chance you're going to get rung up. I think he eventually struck out on a pitch kind of, at his shoe tops, but I think it's because at some point you go to the plate understanding that you have to expand your strike zone because there's a good chance you're going to get called out.
And that's crazy that you have to expand your strike zone for that reason, because this is what the Dodgers do. And a lot of teams are very consistent. They know the strike zone. They know where it is for them. So they lay off of those pitches to make, the pitchers work and do everything. And there's a lot of things that go along. I actually have it right here. That was the bottom of the third. And at one point it was 2.8 inches off from the edge of the zone for Will Smith. And then the next one was also 2.8 inches off the edge of the zone. And it did result in a strikeout. So those were in the bottom of the third. They're right here in front of me on this page. But again, it's like a lot of people go back and forth, and I think most people want to see the robo-umps. I fully do, because we can't allow people like Angel Hernandez to have an ability to call a game and ruin a game. Phil Cuzzy last night was absolutely horrendous. There's sites called the at Ump Job, and they just show pitches over that are just horrendous. There's another one called at Ump Scorecards, and if you look at it consistently, it shows you what is their called strike accuracy, what is their called ball accuracy, and it's always 90%, 93%. That's too low. Every game matters, and especially like you're saying, when it comes to gambling too, and how much all this stuff matters, it affects all of those different things, and it affects their mindsets. And for a guy like Gavin Lux, he got a great hit. He got a great double off of. He had two really bad strikes thrown on him, and then he still was able to get that double. But if you have a mindset that's not as strong as like Mookie Betts, when these things happen, you just get down on yourself, and that can almost ruin your season, because you never can get back out of that. You're stretching for balls constantly because, is Phil Cuzzy going to be calling that outside strike on me consistently? So I don't know. I just think we have to get away somehow. There has to be a solution. If it's not robot umps, there has to be a solution to not allow these types of things to happen.
Wow. The intricacies of how an umpire in one game like Cuzzy can affect, maybe your whole season. But guys, despite the, calls or lack of calls, the bullpen game, it was a success. I think you can say they got it done. How did we feel about what we saw? I know Brazier just went real quick just for, righty matchup situations, but Yarbrough lasted 4.1. And I know he was giving up hits and getting hit, but they kind of got out of it and could rely on the offense yet again. Just how did we feel about the bullpen game? We know we're going to see that a lot more this season.
I thought it went well. I know they were hoping to get some length out of Yarbrough. He got 4 1/3. I thought that was kind of what they were expecting, what they were hoping for. And yeah, he gave up some runs, but I think that's sort of to be expected over the course of a bullpen game. And I think it's a luxury you have when you are scoring 5+ runs every time you take the field, which is what the Dodgers have done so far. On the plus side, though, Greg, your boy Alex Vesia, 2/3 scoreless innings with a strikeout.
I mean, it was close. It was close. He gave up a long shot that just was caught on the warning track. That was a little bit scary. But hey, that's my villain. I don't know if you heard it about yesterday. We had villains on the team. Okay. I need a villain on all of my teams. Okay. I need somebody to put my vitriol to. Alex Vesia is that guy to me. Do you believe in villains on your own team, or are you like everything's lovely and rainbows?
Oh no, I'm a Warriors fan. We have Draymond Green.
Good call. Good call.
I absolutely believe that. It's always those guys. I look at a villain as the guy who you like him because he's on your team, but if he went to another team, you would absolutely hate him. I'm trying to think of like other guys like that. Pat Beverly, exactly. Another guy like that, where like if he's your guy, he's your jerk. But if he's on somebody else's team, like you can't stand that dude. He needs to be suspended. He should probably be out of the league.
Not a real piece.
Exactly. Another one like that. So no, I totally believe in villains.
Yeah, no. So I think it's a little bit more like someone that you actually don't like. So you like Draymond, right? Like since he's on your team, you to a point.
So you're talking about a guy who I don't know if I call him a villain. I maybe a scary monster. Just that guy that like you hold your breath when he comes into the game, sort of.
What do I think? That's where Greg was at. Yeah.
Yeah. When I say Pedro Baez, what do you think?
Yeah, I say. I thought Ronald Belisario.
Yeah, there's another one. Remember Brandon League?
Brandon League. Yep.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're on the same
Rich
page
Hill.
here. I understand where you're going here. Rich Hill at least had a couple of nice runs.
During the start of his
career. Who hates Dick Mountain? You can't. It's not real. You can't do that.
He made me nervous at times. He was
great.
Evan Phillips went out, did his thing. I wanted to read a quote from him just about this bullpen game in general. He says, "I think we take a lot of pride in trying to put a little more emphasis on winning that game when it's our job to go out there and take care of it." So just knowing that, there were some maybe middle relief issues to start this season. We were talking about it with Kelly, obviously your villain, Vesia. Just the fact that I think we're hearing guys like Phillips come out and say, listen, we know we're going to have to do this pretty often. We take pride in getting those W's. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on that? And just moving forward, do you see this bullpen game continuing to be successful?
So I think that you saw basically the structure of what it's supposed to look like. Evan Phillips was not supposed to play in that game last night. Evan Phillips was supposed to be in tonight's game to close out for Tyler Glasnow. So you're gonna see that opener for just one inning, whether it's Ryan Brazier or whoever else they want to use in that first inning. And then it's going to go to your bulk of Ryan Yarbrough, and you're supposed to get 3 innings out of. So they want to go 4 innings, 3 innings for Michael Grove. That's what they want it to look like. I think it's a little bit flawed. I don't think Michael Grove is fit to be a guy that is multiple innings. Maybe he can be stretched out that way, but I think he's better off in the bullpen as a 1-inning guy. If consistently you will see him in his second inning of work. He was great in the first one. 8 pitches, in and out, nothing happening. Against San Diego in Seoul, he was the first after Yamamoto was out, he pitched the first inning. He was great. And then he got into the third inning and fell apart, gave up 4 runs. These are things that happen to him consistently on the second inning of work. I know against the Cardinals, it's a short sample size, obviously, but against the Cardinals, he kind of gave it up. But 1 inning is where he goes out there and he throws what he's got. So I think they need to tweak those things just a little bit. Find a different guy that could be that. I think he can be very, very useful as a 1-inning reliever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And again, I think this is sort of the time when they get to play around with this. And I think that's the beauty of some of these bullpen games with the roles a little bit and try to figure out who fits better where. I remember, years ago, I know the Oakland A's had a philosophy. Rotation. So like one game out, you would be the starter, you would go 4 or 5 innings, and then the other guy would come in theory, finish up. Next time through the rotation, that would flip. And so that way, after a few starts, you could kind of get a sense of who's better, starting games, who's better coming out of the bullpen, because everybody's going to sort of get a turn. And I think that is kind of what this bullpen game idea can be, is to figure out who's better in high leverage situations, who can be an innings eater for you if you need them to be. I'm curious how long they go with this. Like, I think it's something that you see early in the year. I'll be curious if we're still doing this in June or July.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And also, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Walker Buehler's coming back at the end of supposed to come back at the end of this month. So that is now, then you have a 6-man rotation. You don't need that bullpen game necessarily. Right. But I mean, to start off with Walker Buehler, he's that guy that goes 4 innings. He starts the game and goes 4 innings. Maybe tries to just build himself up to 5, 6 as that goes along. And then you have your 6-man rotation without having to tax your bullpen as much as this is, especially at the beginning of the season. You don't want to tax them as much as this is going to happen.
Yeah. I will say, though, I mean, with Buehler coming back real quick, that means Gavin Stone potentially can be your long relief guy if you need him to be. Sure. You can push him to the bullpen. He can be that guy who eats up, 3, 4, 5 innings in those situations you need him.
Yeah. And Sheehan, you could throw him in there as well. I mean, they just have so many possibilities once they start getting healthy that I think, to your point, Marcus, we're not going to be seeing it all that much. It come like June and around those months where it's like, okay, we will have bullpen games, but it's going to be more stretched out with guys who are generally starters on another team, which is just crazy to say. So we have to talk about Sir Marcus Lynn Betts.
Oh, he's been knighted.
He might as well.
Right. In the court of the Blue Review, he has been knighted. Sir Marcus Lynn Betts. Can you guys even think of like a start to a season like this in recent years. I mean, I was trying to look earlier this morning, and I just couldn't think of anything at this hot.
No.
To put it mildly, I think I saw a stat that he has a WAR, which is very early. He has a WAR of like 1.4. He's already a game better. In 8 games, he's 1 game better than his replacement already. 8 games into the season.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing. It's been absolutely phenomenal to watch. I remember when we started this show and it was still spring training, and Greg, you asked me if I thought Mookie Betts could keep this up all year long, and I was like, he'll be good, but no. I might want to revise my answer because right. I mean, the dude's hitting over 500. He's got 5 home runs. I mean, he is either first or tied for first, it seems like, in every major offensive category so far. And on top of that, all while moving to a new position and playing the infield. You always hope that a move like that won't affect the guy's bat. Could this have made him a better hitter? Is he more locked in at the plate now? It's just phenomenal to watch.
It's crazy to watch. I sent you guys a tweet from Bill Plunkett last night, and I'm going to try and find it. It's very funny to me. So let me see. I know it's not this one. All right, just give me 1 second. I think it's this guy. Basically, it was like Mookie Betts has 5 home runs. All of these teams do not. Mookie Betts has 14 runs scored.
Mookie Betts has scored 14 runs this season. The Mets, White Sox, and Twins have not. Mookie Betts has hit 5 home runs this season. The Twins, Brewers, Red Sox, Rockies, Marlins, Mets, A's, Pirates, Mariners, Cardinals have not.
I mean, that is what's going on with Sir Marcus Lindbetts right now. He's on a whole nother planet, and he kind of has to be too, because I mean, no matter what, like Freddie's playing well and Will Smith is playing well and all those guys, but Shohei is having a little bit of a trouble right now. I still think it's because he's pressing too hard and trying to hit his first home run. I'm sure the things that with Ipe and all that surrounding him is making a difference, but I think he's the type of guy that when he gets on the field, he is very, very locked into the game and the game itself. So I think he's just pressing, but he's struggling. He is a full-on struggle bus.
Yeah, but what a luxury when you're batting 242, no home runs, like 3 RBIs as Shohei Ohtani, to have a guy like Mookie Betts just absolutely destroying the league, and you guys are 6-2. So I mean, what a luxury. That's all I was going to say, Marcus.
Absolutely. No, it absolutely is. No, and look, at some point, Shohei's going to turn it around, right? We're going to be on here. We're going to talk about Shohei. Hey, the last 2 weeks, dude's hitting 425 or something like that. Like at some point, that's going to come together because he's just too good. At some point, it's funny we talk about all these things about Mookie Betts. Let's also throw in the fact that the dude has bowled a perfect game. Like he's like a champion. He's a high level, like a top level bowler who has a 300 on his record too. Like he can't lose.
Yeah, I mean, give him a bow and arrow, he's going to be hitting the bullseye every single time.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't matter if it's an athletic competition; he is going to be very, very good at it. And yes, I mean, to go back to Ohtani for just a second, he's going to be fine. He's going to once he hits that first one, it's going to be in bunches. All of a sudden, he's going to be at the top, at the league leader in basically everything when it's all said and done. But it's nice. He hasn't never had this before. Everybody around him is very, very good and picks him up when they need him. So now, I mean, he didn't have that with Mike Trout because Mike Trout was always injured. So
by the way, have you guys seen Rendon start to the season? I
for 19.
Throw that out there.
Yeah.
Well, because he doesn't like baseball.
I was like, I mean, he does. Yeah, does he really care? That was my question.
It's just a job. It's just a job. I also want to give a shout out to speaking of like the offense and how the Dodgers have scored 5 runs to start each of their 8 games, which hasn't been done since 2004. I think it was both the Cardinals and the Tigers. I think, here it was. Clumsy Chrissy in the chat. I want to give a shout out. She said, what should we call the top 5 of the lineup? Mount Crushmore.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
Yes, Shohei's off to a slow start, but everybody else, they're crushing it. I like that. So shout out to Clumsy Chrissy in the chat.
That's a good start. Chrissy. I mean, I think I would love to make it something maybe that's a more Los Angeles centered landmark, but Mount Crushmore, Mount Crushmore is a good start. It's a really solid start.
I like that too. I'm not a big fan of the whole Mount Rushmore theme.
That's
I know
true.
Michael Thompson loves it. Everything is what's your Mount Rushmore of this? What's your Mount Rushmore of this? It's like 1990s radio. I just can't. I'm not into it. So, but I do like that name for the top of them. But yes, to Marcus's point, something more LA centric. I don't know what they have of 4 of here, but
that's true. Yeah, 4 of. I mean, but the way Teoscar's playing around, Teo, it's definitely a 5. You could call it.
Yeah.
But looking forward to tonight. I mean, how are you guys feeling about the matchup? Glasnow has just been an absolute ace so far this season. They got another 7-10 game tonight. Just, what are we looking at? Are we going to see a nice little sweep of the Giants, which is always good to see? What are your initial thoughts on tonight's matchup? I think it's Harrison for the Giants.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah. Look, if Glasnow comes out and throws the way he did his last start out, I think they're in a good spot. At this point, you have to believe that if you were Dodger pitching and you can hold the opponents to 4 runs or less, you're in pretty good shape. And so, I got to think that that can be the case. It would be nice if Glasnow can give them a little bit of length after the bullpen game because, Greg, you mentioned Phillips threw in a situation where I don't think they expected him to have to throw. So if he can sort of get the night off or the bullpen can get the night off, that would be nice. Other than that, just keep the offense going. Maybe this is the night Shohei finally achieves liftoff, but I think a sweep is very much in the possibility.
Yeah, it's definitely in play, and yeah, I think Shohei it's his first jack tonight. That's what I'm calling. Tonight is that night.
I thought he almost got one last night.
I did too.
It looked like he got one last night. It just died on him.
Yeah. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting the ball hard, so it's going to go out eventually. But I do like this matchup. I think. I mean, look, sweeping your rival is always tough. These games can go any way any single time. But with the way that it's working out, as long as the top of the lineup does what it's been doing and making Kyle Harrison continue to work. And if he becomes a part of the 30-pitch first inning club, like everybody else seems to be, unless that faces this Dodger team, then I think they're going to be in really good shape. If they see the bullpen again, they've already seen them twice. You can't throw Tyler Rogers again and not expect to get hit. You can't throw that guy. Who was that guy last night? Like Maxwell or something like that, or whatever his name was, that had this weird, like turned his back to the mound, to the plate.
And then gave up a home run. That guy?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah. But still, you can't he kept a lot of dudes off balance, but still, he definitely was, you can't put him out over and over again and expect to not get hit. So if they get to the bullpen, I think this is a sweep. Yeah.
Okay. And, I feel bad throughout this whole show. We got to show love to Kiké. And Gavin doing their thing. Just, shout out to Kiké, but just how are we feeling? Because I know Hayward is, kind of day to day with his little back issues. I mean, how great is it to see Kiké stepping up and doing his thing?
I was really happy that they kept Kiké around. Like when they brought him back, they brought him and then they kept him around because for a lot of reasons. But one is because he can give you so many things in so many different positions, right? He went out and he'll hit occasionally for you. He played great defense. He had that diving catch last night. I also just feel like he's a good locker room presence for them. Like it's great having Mookie and Shohei and Freddie and those guys there, but they're very more reserved, right? They're not going to be big emotions guys necessarily. And I think Kiké brings that sort of energy that I think this team has missed, especially in the postseasons the last couple of years. Like I just think that you sort of need that guy that when things aren't going well is going to light a fire. And I think Kiké brings that on top of what he gives you on the field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love seeing Kiké. I love that they brought him back, signed him for that 1-year deal. He just barely missed a diving catch in, I think, is the first or no, it was the second inning. He just barely missed it, and then he went back and got another diving catch. He has such an ability to be athletic in any part of the field and play all those positions, like you were saying. So I love seeing that. I love when he gets rewarded for those things. He just plays better as a Dodger. And he comes up clutch as a Dodger. It doesn't seem like it happens anywhere else. And fine, do it for us.
Yep,
all in.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, we're gonna finish up here. Glasnow on the bump tonight. Let's see if they can get the clean sweep of the rival Giants. Hopefully, they can, because that is just going to make the Dodgers hate blow through the roof. So again, We'll be back tomorrow. We're back every weekday, 9:30 to 9:55. Thank you to LAX. Thank you to the chat for tuning in. This was a great show today. Appreciate you, Marcus, for stopping by. As always, you're going to be in the office today, actually.
I will. I'll be sitting in for John Ireland with Steve Mason today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
so listen to Marcus on Mason and Ireland today from 12 to 2:30 today.
Special time.
Yeah, be tapped in on the YouTube as well. I'll be back here running the stream, so we'll see you guys in the chat over there as well. Travis and Sliwa and DeMarco up right now, so tune into there as well. Thank you to LAX. This has been the Blue Review. Greg, thank you. I'll catch you next time.